Hello, I'm Ranjay Kamal Kumaris, Assistant Professor, Marwari College, Ranchi. Today I am going to discuss human resource planning for MBA second semester for the subject uh, human resource management. This is the core subject of CBCS syllabus. Human resource planning. What is human resource planning? A single statement question that we have to answer. What is human resource planning? Then how will you answer in a single statement? Human resource planning is the determination of adequate and accurate number of human resources in the organization at present as well as for future requirements too. That I am going to discuss with the help of PPT. Okay, let's have a look. This is the course details. Human resource planning. We are going to talk about human resource planning. Human resource planning is a process by which an organization determines its human resource needs. This process ensures that there are right number and right kind of people in the organization at all levels at the right time and right place. It attempts to answer two fundamental questions. Number one is, what characteristics are required to be in the workforce, both in immediate future and in the long term? Number two is, what policies and manpower planning practices are required to be introduced in order to attract, retain, and develop these kinds of employees? These are the two questions. These are the questions uh, which human resource planning tries to answer. Human resource planning attempts to recruit, retain, and efficiently distribute employees both laterally and hierarchical throughout an organization. It aims at controlling the qualitative and quantitative flows and the stocks of manpower. It tries to ensure a smooth functioning of an enterprise by having the right labor at the right time, of the right skill, and at the right cost. Dear students, you're thinking that a lot of text have been mentioned in PPT, which you think not required. But as far as my view is concerned, I have mentioned this text and PPT in large number, you can say large number of text in this PPT, so that you could take help in making your own notes. And this text can be utilized as your study material. That's why. But you can understand easily whatever I would explain that I have written in this text and I have mentioned in the text form in PPT, and because it could be a very big video, that's why I have mentioned all the text, and I'm going to just read out all these things so that you could understand well. Okay, now I'm going to discuss the nature of human resource planning. Human resource planning cannot exist in isolation. It must be linked to the organization's overall strategy. It is concerned with determining the requirement of people in the organization both in the present and future. It is ongoing process because the demand for and the supply of human resources undergo frequent changes. It can be both for long term and short term. A manpower plan consists of two subplans, manpower demand and manpower supply plan. It emphasizes on optimum utilization of human resources. It has both qualitative and quantitative aspects. It is the basis of an organization's success. It attempts to obtain equilibrium between the demand and the supply of labor. It involves study of manpower environment. Here, the need and objectives of HRP. Need and objectives of HRP. To identify the manpower requirement, HRP ultimately translates the organization's overall goals into the number and type of workers needed to achieve those goals. To ensure best use of human resources are considered to be the most valuable at the most volatile and unpredictable resource. If an organization if an organization fails to place and direct human resources in the right areas of business at the right time and at the right cost, serious operational problems are likely to arise, resulting in business failures. To enable recruitment planning, it leads to proper recruitment plans to avoid unexpected shortages and overstaffing. To identify training needs, it helps in identification of training needs and thus helps both the organization and the individuals in overcoming the problems caused by skill gaps. To retain talents, it helps in succession planning and management development, thus helps in retaining the talent and reducing the management and labor turnover. To improve industrial relations, changes in the quantity and quality of employees often leads to industrial unrest, which can be avoided through proper human resource planning. To enable planning for physical facilities, staff quarter, dispensary, canteen, and school for the staff and their children. To contribute towards organizations' objectives. It ensures that organizations' human resources are capable of completing assigned tasks in such a way that the organization achieves its objectives effectively and efficiently. Without clear-cut planning and a direct linkage to the organization's strategic direction, estimation of an organization's human resources needs are reduced to mere guesswork. To integrate individual needs and organizational needs, it addresses the potential and development needs of employees in order to foster quality, commitment, and productivity in workforce. It emphasizes on investment in the workforce and to satisfy their needs for progression and change. At the same time, to remain competitive and to attract customers, the organization has to introduce changes in product production technique and sales techniques. This requires radical changes in thinking about the core competencies required in the future. To facilitate planning at the national level. To facilitate planning at the national level of such features as educational reforms, geographical mobility of talent, and employment generation. Next subheading is Importance of HRP in the Contemporary Business Environment. Paradoxes in employment situation. On the one hand, the number of educated unemployed youth is increasing, while on the other hand, there is acute shortage of skills required in business organizations. Handling of this paradoxical situation requires effective recruitment and retaining of people. Widespread and rapid changes in production technology, marketing methods, and management techniques create problems concerning redundancies, retaining, and redeployment of personnel. Demographic changes. Profile of the workforce in terms of age, sex, education, technical skills, and social background is changing. Increased government interference in the form of enactment of a number of welfare legislations regarding working condition, working hours, weaker sections, women and child labor, casual and contract labor, etc., requires management to deal with human issues carefully and not at their free will. Increase in lead time. As jobs have become increasingly complex and longer lead time is required for selection and training of employees to handle new jobs and technology successfully. Increased hiring costs increased hiring costs are encouraging upgrading from within the organization and planned retention through effective human resource planning. Increased mobility of employees. Skills of the employees are the assets of an individual employees as well as of the organization. If the employee leaves the organization, it is a loss to the organization. Therefore, effective human resource planning is required. Next is limitations of HRP. What are the limitations of human resource planning that we are going to learn? Lack of understanding of rationale of planning. Lack of understanding of rationale of planning. Sometimes managers question the need for personal planning. They argue that people can be acquired when needed and can be laid off when in surplus. So there is no need of HRP. Incompatibility with strategic plans. Incompatibility with strategic plans. Strategic planning is done by top management, while HR planning is done by HR manager. The latter may not be able to comprehend the strategic plans fully, which may result in compatibility between the two. Conflict between long-term HR needs. Conflict between long-term HR needs. For example, conflict between the pressure to get the work done on time, that is a short-term HR goal, and preparing people for greater responsibilities in future, that is long-term HR goal. Conflicts between quantitative and qualitative approach to HRP. Conflicts between quantitative and qualitative approach to HRP. Some people take a strictly quantitative approach to HRP while others emphasize on quality concerns like promotability. Non-involvement of operating managers. HRP is not purely an HR department function. Successfully Successful planning needs a coordinated effort on the part of operating managers and HR personnel. Inaccuracy. As HRP is done on the basis of forecasts about the future and future which itself is highly uncertain, it makes the HR estimates inaccurate. Expensive. Personal planning is a time consuming and costly affair. You can say the costly process. Next is the guidelines of effective HRP. To make an effective HRP, there is some uh, there are some guidelines that we are going to discuss. Adequate organization. Adequate organization. Planning function within human resource department should be properly organized. A separate cell or committee may be constituted for this purpose to coordinate the efforts at various levels. Top management support. Top management support. To be effective in the long run, HRP must be supported by top management so that the flow of necessary resources is ensured. Involvement of operating managers. Successful HR planning requires active participation and coordinated efforts on the part of the operating executives. Such participation will help in increasing understanding of the process and will reduce resistance. Integration with corporate plans. Human resource planning must be based on organizational objectives and plans. This requires development of good communication channels between organization planners and HR planners, sound information system. An adequate database should be developed for human resources to facilitate HRP. Balanced focus. The quantity and quality of human resources should be stressed in a balanced manner. Appropriate time horizon. The period of HRP should be appropriate to the needs and circumstances of the specific enterprise. These are the guidelines of effective HRP, and this is all about human resource planning. Thank you. Dear students, if you have any doubts or confusion, you can share it in our WhatsApp groups. Thank you.